is the name of the new Battlefield 1 DLC. I, amongst many others, was lucky enough to visit DICE in Sweden last week and get my grubby little hands on Battlefield 1's first DLC, They Shall Not Pass. Now, I know many of you have seen the new weapons and most of the new maps on the CTE, so I shan't prattle on about that. Instead, let's get our teeth stuck into what you haven't seen yet. We are going to start with the map that wasn't on the CTE, Verdun Heights. This is a very infantry-focused, war-torn hellhole of a map. Imagine the lush green rolling hills of France, beautiful scenic forests, all gone, dashed to ash and soot, the grass trodden into blood, piss and shit. That is essentially Verdun Heights in a nutshell, and in fact most of it is still aflame. There are literally no vehicles, no cars, no trucks, no tanks, no planes, but it does have some new emplacements, however, in the form of giant artillery siege guns. I didn't actually get to use them much myself, but I'm fairly sure they work like massive mortars. Just what we need when running headlong into sniper fire. Despite the lack of trees, there is ample cover in certain areas of the map, with a definite sloping curve to how the map winds down from the French to German spawn. I do feel like pushing uphill to some of the higher points of the map is a little one-sided, as the snipers have a great vantage from some of the most elevated points. One great feature of the map is that much of the ground is smouldering away, presumably from the most recent bout of carpet bombings. So you really do have to watch where you're walking, lest you burst into a hellish inferno. The centre of the map has a dilapidated building atop a mound of dirt with tunnels and rooms below. Quite a fun point to fight over, especially considering the prize within. What treasure lies within, you might ask? Well, I shall tell you. It's the Trench Raider pickup. Mine. The Trench Raider is the icing on the They Shall Not Pass cake. A double hard bastard armed with a one-hit kill club. I feel he fits in quite nicely and will be very situational. In large open spaces, he'll get cut to ribbons, rightly so, but in the trenches and tunnels, he's a tour de force. He's got a heavy medic crate to give him added survivability, 3 explosive grenades and 1 smoke grenade. Used wisely, I think the smoke could provide excellent cover to sprint across the open spaces, with a few grenades hurled forward to clear the way, and he's definitely one of the stronger elites, but again, only in certain situations. Like every other elite, he can still instantly be killed by a well-placed explosive, or from behind with any number of knives, spades, pickaxes, hatchets and bayonets to the spine. The new mode is kind of like a hybrid between Rush and Chain Link from Battlefield 4. I'm sure most of you already know what the mode entails, but basically you push points forward and back, like Conquest, but in a line, for example ABC or CBA. Once you get to the enemy base, blow up their telegraph boxes to win. It's a pretty fun mode with some minor drawbacks. In the build we played, if you were fighting over B, but slowly lost the point, you could no longer recap B. You must pull back to the next point. This I think was a little confusing to people at first, as often the enemy would have pushed through to A, but we still had many troops covering B, thinking they could retake it. If there was a constantly shifting out of bounds, similar to Rush, that encouraged players to pull back and defend, I think this would make the mode a lot easier and enjoyable to play. Without having to pay too much attention, players would have to pull back, this making them play the objective. Without this guidance, I do think we're going to see some absolute steamroll games until the majority of players get their heads around the mode. All in all, pretty fun, and something a little bit fresh, slightly different, but also kind of similar to what we're all used to. I want to quickly mention Devil's Anvil, an infantry-focused operation which fans of Metro and Locker will lovingly embrace. It certainly is a meat grinder. But the maps are pretty nice, and the lack of constant bombing runs from planes is refreshing to say the least. One nice touch is also the lack of behemoths. If you fail in an attack or defense wave, instead of behemoths, you'll get 4 elites that spawn in your main base. As you guys know, elites can be quite slow, so to bring them up to the front lines, you'll need the medics to keep them alive, especially once you're nearer the final stages of the operations. But I think it's a really nice twist on giving the teams a minor advantage when they're on the back foot. The 4 elites you get are the Flammenwerfer, the 2 machine gun elites, and finally the new Trench Raider. A lovely carnage quartet, though not too lovely. They can be dispatched with grenades, bayonets and a hail of gunfire, so not really too much of a problem. Now, I don't want to parrot on about content that you may have already seen due to it being in the CTE, and every man and his dog on YouTube has already covered it, so this pretty much wraps up the video. There are of course 3 more maps which I've not spoken about in this video that have been playable on CTE already, and a plethora of new weapons, 1 for each class, as well as the new Behemoth, oh, and the Frenchy Baguette tank, which by the way you'll be able to use on any other map that allows tanks, so Sinai Desert, St. Quentin Scar, stuff like that. So that really is all from me for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, drop me a little like, and leave me a comment and tell me what you think. Until next time, you can catch us over on Twitch. So yeah, good noon.